What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I want to talk some Justin Fields. According to a USA Today article, the New York Jets were linked to Justin Fields as their next quarterback after moving on from Aaron Rodgers. So what I wanted to do was talk about him as a potential option, because a lot of Jet fans have jumped on the Justin Fields bandwagon. So let's just talk through him as an option for this football team. So first, I think we need to talk about what kind of contract it's expected for Justin Fields to sign. The expectation is that he gets a one-year deal, but the range that I've seen has varied for Justin Fields. Every year, PFF does some contract projections for free agency, and I feel like they've been pretty much the closest. They are projecting a one-year, $11 million deal, while SpotRack is listing him as a one-year, $6.4 million contract kind of guy. That's a pretty big difference. It's almost double the value. Now, if it's closer to that SpotRack offer where it's in that $6 to $10 million range, I think it's much more likely for the Jets to land him. Even at $11 million, it's on the high end of what I think the Jets will be looking for price-wise, but it's not a part where I think they'd be out of the conversation. Now, for whatever reason, if the bidding goes up and he ends up getting like $15+ million to be a starter somewhere, and there is some legit competition, I think the Jets are going to be in on a veteran quarterback. I think the Raiders, the Giants, heck, even teams that might be drafting a quarterback might be looking for a veteran. So we don't know if Tennessee is going to do that. They might just stick with Will Levis as their veteran backup, so to speak, but maybe they are in the market for Justin Fields. If they either take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or decide against it, maybe they want to take, the reclamation project there. Moral of the story, there's going to be some competition. Heck, he could even go back to Pittsburgh and play there. So Justin Fields started the year as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback for the first 6 games. They would then go to Russell Wilson, and he finished the regular season 6-5. He would lose in the playoffs, so 6-6. But Justin Fields went 4-2 as a starter, and I figured we'd talk about how he performed in those games. Now, they did not ask him to throw the football a ton. In his first game, 17-23, 73.9 completion percentage, 156 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, a 91.9 rating. And he also had 14 carries for 57 yards, if memory serves correct. The Pittsburgh Steelers won by kicking all field goals in this game, which is pretty wild. Game 2, 13-20, 65% completion, 117 yards, 5.9 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks, a 97.3 rating. He also had 8 carries for 27 yards. We start to see the production go up a little bit over the next few games. The passing numbers go up, 25-32, 78.1 completion, 245 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 96 rating. He also had 6 carries for 6 yards and a touchdown. The next game, we would see him put up 3 total touchdowns, probably his best game of the season, 22-34, 64.7%, 312 passing yards, a touchdown, a 104 rating, 10 carries, 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A couple more to get into here, 15-27, 55.6, 131 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no picks, 93.3 rating, 6 carries, 27 yards. You have to include the rushing because that's a part of his game, and we'll talk about what he was pacing out for at the end here. A couple lower completion percentage games, or I guess one more lower completion percentage game. 14-24. This was the last time that he started. 14-24, 58.3, 145 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 75.9 rating. Did have 59 yards on the ground and 2 rushing touchdowns. That's when Pittsburgh decided to pull the plug. So what was he pacing out for at that point of the season? Well, here's the numbers: a 66.3 completion, 3,134 yards, 6.9 yards per attempt, 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 93.9 rating. Add on top of that 654 rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. He was pacing out for a lot of rushing touchdowns. So if you combine the passing and rushing, that's 28 total touchdowns, which That in and of itself replicates the production that Aaron Rodgers had touchdown-wise. The turnover numbers would have been a lot lower. If you work in the fumbles as well, it would have been 6 total turnovers on the season. But the question is, could that be replicated here with the New York Jets? And that would obviously be to be determined. Pivoting to Justin Fields would also completely change the New York Jets offense to a run-first system. And I anticipate that the Jets will run the ball significantly more because you bring in Tanner Engstrand from Detroit. Detroit has a prolific rushing offense. They have 2 very good running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And it's just something I would have thought they would do anyway to get Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis going a little bit more. But when your quarterback has the rushing ability as well, that changes things for you. This is a higher variance swing for the New York Jets. We've seen a lot of Justin Fields over the last 3 or 4 years in the league, and he's been okay at best. There's been some times where he looks like he's going to take that next step and be the guy. There's other times where he just takes some really questionable sacks, makes some questionable decisions as a thrower of the football. But this would be the swing that the Jets would take if they were looking for that career turnaround guy. Think of Sam Darnold this past year, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Jared Goff to a lesser extent. Can Tanner Engstrand and the offensive staff be the person to change or turn around the quarterback is the question that you'd have to answer. Like I said, I included Jared Goff in there. Not that he was horrible with the Rams, but I think he's just became a much more consistent quarterback since going to Detroit. So that would be Fields would be the swing that probably has the highest ceiling, looking at what we've seen other teams do with quarterbacks who've maybe bounced around the league a little bit and are trying to find that home. Plus, to some Jet fans, it would be righting the wrong from 2021. There was a lot of people who really wanted the Jets to draft Justin Fields that year out of Ohio State. They wanted him to be the pick 2nd overall. That's not what happened. The Jets go Zach Wilson, and then the Chicago Bears traded up to, I believe it was pick 10 in order to grab Justin Fields. He was there for 3 seasons. He was with the Pittsburgh Steelers for a season. Now he's going to be a free agent. And as I mentioned at the top, I would anticipate teams like the Giants and the Raiders also being very interested in his services. But this is going to be a very popular pick for the New York Jets at the quarterback spot. And we have about a month to talk through these options. Mid-February is when free agency begins. The new league year unofficially, but kind of gets started over the combine, which is at the end of the month, less than 2 weeks away. So we're going to go over the next few weeks. We will go through some of these options. We'll talk through the New York Jets quarterback options. Yesterday, I discussed maybe the Jets copying the Pittsburgh Steelers model if Derek Carr becomes available and sign him on the cheap. Now, this would be a free agent quarterback that's a little bit more pricey, not as pricey as what Sam Darnold would be, but just because of how things ended with Darnold and the New York Jets, I'd be surprised if there was a reunion there. I don't think it's necessarily something that he'd like to do. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong on it, but Justin Fields is a popular name, so figured we'd talk through this as an option for the New York Jets. So I want to hear from you guys. Would you be in on Justin Fields as a swing for the Jets in free agency? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for daily Jets videos. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.